Hi guys, today we are going to be making this simple silk sleepwear which can also serve as undergarment. It can be worn on its own as a sleepwear or nightwear. It can be worn as henna for your bridal robe. It can serve different purposes depending on what you want to use it for. So if this looks like something you are interested in or you want to keep watching this video and you like to make, it won't take more than 10 minutes of your time. So let's just get started. You can choose any fabric of your choice. It can be plain and also be patterned like this, as long as it is light and it is something you can be comfortable in when you wear to sleep. Remember, this one I'm making, this particular one is going to be in nightwear, and I'm going to be using about 1.5 yards of fabric. This actually depends on your size, but 1.5 to 2 yards of fabric should be enough. To start with, I'm going to fold my fabric into 4, just like you see me doing, because we are going to be cutting both the front and the back. First thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to come to this upper part of the fabric, and I'm going to mark about 1/2 inch away. It can be 1 inch. I'm just trying to move away from the raw edge so that I will have an accurate measurement. So that line here is going to be my shoulder line, or the starting point. Then I'm going to trim off the raw edge. So if your fabric has a self edge or a smooth edge, you might not need to do this. Then you measure the fabric to be sure that it is up to the quarter of your measurement, your widest measurement, divided by 4 plus about 2 inches for ease and sewing allowance. So I already measured mine and it is enough. So from this top line, I'm going to take my dress length measurement and every other vertical measurement plus about 2-inch folding allowance and joining allowance. So because this is always like a spaghetti strap, it's going to be like an off shoulder. So we are going to start our measurement from 4 to 5 inches. This depends on what you want. It's not going to start from 1 inch, but for this one, I'm going to use 4 inches from this top line, and I'm going to take my dress length. So for this dress length, I'm going to be using 35 inches, and I'm going to be adding the 1 inch or 2 inches folding allowance on the hem of the dress. So whatever you use at the top, make sure you note it down. We are still going to make use of that measurement later. Okay, so after this, I'm going to connect with a straight line, and I'm going to cut it out because I'm still going to be using the remaining fabric. So I'm going to be making a pajama set soon, so please turn on your notification bell if you're yet to do so that you don't miss the pajama set when I drop the video. From this top edge now, we are going to start from 4 inches again, and I'm going to measure down to the bust point line. You're going to measure to the waist, from that top line to the hip line, mark like so. Then I'm going to connect all the points together. So here I have my bust point, waist, hip line, and the dress length. Okay, so this is going to be like a dress. It's not going to get to your knee. All right, so it's just going to be some inches away from your hip line. After this, the next thing we are going to do is to work on the upper part. So what we are going to do, we are going to start from the 4 inches again. Place your 4 inch on the top line, and you are going to go up by 2 inches for the chest line measurement. Alright, so we're going to be needing that. Remember the way we cut our off shoulder. So here on the shoulder, you're going to divide your shoulder measurements into 2 plus 1/2 inch stitching allowance. I have 8 inches altogether. So you come to the chest line, you take the same measurements. Whatever you take on the top line, you take on the chest line. Then you're going to add your stitching allowance and your ease allowance of 1 inch. Okay, this is more or less like a free top, so you might decide to add more than that, but 1 to 1.5 is okay. So you come to the bust point line and take your bust circumference divided by 4 plus your 1.5 or 1 inch stitch allowance and ease allowance. On the waistline, you do the same thing by taking your waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 ease allowance. You come to the hip line and take your hip circumference divided by 4 plus your ease and stitching allowance. So whatever you have on the hip line, you can just measure it and take it down to the dress length, or you just connect from the dress length down to, or you just connect from the hip line to the dress length to form like an A line. Then you're just going to connect back like so. So what you're going to do next, you come to this center front line to take the neck depth. So Placing your 4 inches on the top line, you are going to measure down to about 7 inches for the neck depth. You don't want it to be too much, so I'll suggest you just maintain the 7 inches. So then you are going to measure about 4 inches or 3.5 inches on fold for the neck width, like so. So from this armhole line, you are going to connect to the bust point. Then with a slight curve, you connect from the bust point down to the neck width, just like you see me doing. Okay, so from there you are going to connect back to the neck depth. Okay, so you can either make use of your curve rule or use your free hand. This is totally optional. So if you do not want a curvy shape on the waistline, you can simply add 1 inch to your waist measurement, then you connect to the hip line straight down. So with this, we are done with the tracting. We are just going to cut out according to the lines we have. We are going to have different neck depth for both the front and the back, but because this seems to be the shortest, we are going to cut out this first, then we separate the fabric later to cut out the back neck depth further. Then after you are done with this, you align the fabric and you come to the neck depth. You're going to measure down to 2 inches or 1.5 inches. This totally depends, but 2 inches should be okay. This one I'm just going to be measuring 1.5. Then you're going to connect back to the neck width, just like you see me doing, with a slight curve. Okay, this will help you differentiate between the front and the back. And at the same time, you can maintain the same measurements, but most of the time the back is always different from the front. And here is what you are going to have. Okay, if you do not want it to be as deep as this, you can just maintain about 1 inch, or you maintain the same measurement. So the next thing we are going to be doing now, we are going to be cutting a strip of fabric, which is going to serve like a bias, which we are going to use to turn the neckline, and also the armhole, which is also going to be which is also going to form the sleeve or shoulder for this. Remember, it's going to have a spaghetti strap. Measure around the neckline and the armhole, multiply by 2, just to have the idea of what you are going to need. So for the length of the spaghetti strap now, remember we started our measurement from 4 inches. We are going to multiply the 4 inches by 2 plus 1 inch. Okay, so I have 9 inches altogether. So whatever you use, if it is 5 inch plus 1 inch multiplied by 2, that's about 11 inches. I already cut out this rectangular fabric and I'm going to be using it to cut out the bias. So cut out the bias strip. You are going to be cutting on a diagonal line instead of cutting on a straight like we cut our regular strap. You are going to cut diagonally from one edge to the other, just like you see me doing, from one edge to the other across the fabric. I'm going to take the width of the strap, which is measured 1.5 inches. So I'm going to suggest you use 1.5 inches just to be on the safe side. Alright, so cutting on bias make it easier for you to control your fabric, especially when you are sewing on a curved line. It is quite easy, just like our ready-made bias tape. Okay, and as you can see, it stretches out as the way I'm dragging it. So I'm going to be cutting more of this. So guys, I already cut more of it, and we're going to start by turning the neckline. So you pick one of this bias strip and you place right side facing each other. Then I'm going to use it to turn the neckline. I'll stitch it from the right side and finish it up to the wrong side. After stitching, you're going to notch round like so, just to make the seams relax. After notching like so, I'm going to fold in the allowance like so twice. Then I'm going to stitch it down. I'll do the same thing on the back. So guys, I'm done doing that, and here is what I have. Give it a proper press if you have access to an iron. Then we are going to be placing the two on each other like so to take the side seam. Remember, we added 1.5 for the stitching and his allowance. So I'm going to take in about 1 inch by the side. Yours can be less than that and can be exactly 1 inch depending on what you add for your stitching and hem allowance. Now I'm done stitching. I'm going to turn to the right side, and the next thing we are going to do now is to turn the armhole. And while we are turning the armhole, we are going to be creating the spaghetti strap at the same time. Remember, we measured 9 inches, or we calculated 9 inches earlier. We are going to include the 9 inches in this new measurement we want to work. So you are going to start from the underarm like so. You place the strap on the main dress, right side facing each other, and you pin it down all through to the neck width. Because of the texture of the fabric, you might need to work with pins enough. You need to have enough of pins. Remember, it's a silk or a satin material that we use for this. So I'm going to pin all round, and when I get to the neck width or the top edge like so, I'm going to measure out the 9 inches we calculated earlier. Remember that we multiply the measurement we use at the top edge when we are taking the dress length by 2, then we added 1 inch. So once you get the 9 inch like so, you're going to continue from that point on the other side of the armhole. Remember, we are going to be having like a 2 side for one armhole line. So I'm going to continue my measurement from the other side like so. So when you are sewing this, you're going to continue. It's going to be like a circle. So it's not as if you're going to be having a separate strap for this particular type of garment. And I'm going to pin it down back to the underarm where we started from. So now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. We are going to see how we are going to be sewing this. I'm going to sew it now and finish it up on the wrong side of this dress. You start your sewing 1 inch away from the underarm because you are still going to need allowance to join the strap together. So when you get to this top edge, that is the neck width, you're going to back stitch, then you're going to stop, and you're going to continue your sewing on the other side like so. Then you stop 1 inch away from the underarm just like you did from on the start at the starting point. Now you're going to join this fabric together. Measure whatever allowance you have left. That's going to be like 2 inches. Then you're going to join the two straps together. You cut off the excess, then you finish up your sewing around the underarm. So after which you have finished up sewing, you turn the fabric to the wrong side of the dress, then you fold in the allowance twice and stitch it down. So you continue sewing like so till you get to the neck width or the top edge. Then when you get to this point where the strap starts from, you fold it in. You fold in the allowance. This is why you need enough. This is why your fabric should be up to 1.5 inches so that it will be easier for you to sew. So you're going to fold in the allowance just like you see me doing, okay, because we do not have any other thing to stitch it to. So you're going to continue like this till you get to the other side of the armhole up to the underarm. So guys, now I'm done with it, and this is what it's going to look like. As you can see, the spaghetti strap is together with the armhole, so it will make the finishing look neat, and you're going to have your spaghetti strap together. So I'm going to do this on the other side and we see the final look. As I'm done with the two sides, and here is what I have. So I'm just going to give this a proper press. It's because I cut some bias, that is why it is folding. It is my fabric. It is the texture of the fabric that is causing the folding. So now the next thing we are going to, the next and the final thing now is to fold the hem of the dress. Remember we added 2 inches, so I'm going to be folding in 1 inch twice for the hem of this dress. So if you had 1 inch, that means you're going to be folding 1 inch. Then you can also weave the edge and fold it once. This totally depends on how much more fabric you have and how you want your hem to be. So if you have a lace trim or a net, you can simply place it at the hem like this after folding the hem just like I just did. So this will give it another look, okay. Then this is what it's going to look like at the end. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you find it helpful. Kindly give it a thumbs up, share so that we can reach people that might want this kind of tutorial, and please do not forget to drop your comments in the comment section. And please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, because so many other interesting tutorials are coming soon. Then you can also drop your video requests to be glad to have them. Till next time that we'll meet again in my next tutorial. Bye bye and take care of yourself.